What Bible should I read? There are so many choices. Are they all the same? Does it matter? We'll consider these questions this week on You, Me, and the Word. You want to read the Bible. Maybe you're curious. Or maybe you want to sink your teeth into it and find out what it's all about. You might have an old copy that belonged to your grandmother. You try to open it and the binding cracks. It smells dusty and weird. Well, and it was your grandmother's, so you don't want to break it. You look inside and half the words look like they are from an old Shakespeare play. I know. I'll go into the religious section of a bookstore or even a Christian bookstore, and I'll tell you what you'll see. You'll see shelves of them. Bibles. More and more Bibles. It's not surprising. The Bible remains one of the most popular books in the world. But there are all different kinds. How do you pick which one to read? These are all different ones on my personal bookshelf. So many more at the bookstore. You say, fine, I'll check online. Again, so many kinds, and they don't all sound the same. You ask, which one should I read? The first thing you have to know is that all of these are translations from the original languages. For our purposes, that means Koine Greek and Hebrew. Have you ever had to translate something from another language? Two people translating the same documents rarely will wind up with exactly the same thing. Now, if you look at them both, you might decide that they mean the same thing in the end, and you might look at them and say, whoa, these are very different. Number one, your translation matters. There are many good translations out there, especially for a new Bible reader. Very advanced readers might quibble over some words between the translations. They might even make some good points, but the discussion would be way over our heads, at least right now. There are some really bad translations out there. There are the ones that are really bad and some that are just not ideal for a new Bible reader or a student. The top of my list of the ones not to read as a new Bible reader is the King James Version, or it's also referred to as the KJV. It remains one of the most popular and beloved translations out there. And it's not that it's a particularly inaccurate translation, or at least it wasn't when it was put together in 1611. King James was the English king that immediately followed Queen Elizabeth I. Think of the time of Shakespeare. But the language is archaic to our modern ears. That's why new translations come out periodically. Because English is a living language, it changes. The meanings of words change. And so for us to understand it, we need something written in our modern context. Some highly respected ones from more modern times is the New Revised Standard Version, which is also referred to as the NRSV. We have the New International Version, referred to as the NIV, the Common English Bible, the CEB, and the New King James Version, NKJV. Now, there also has to do with what size of Bible would you want. This is a pocket-sized Bible that I carried around in my purse for years. And you can see how the cover edges are worn and the pages are well used. And despite its small size, the print is amazingly crisp and sharp, so I found it easy to read, even though the print was very small. Now, and there are also Bible apps that you can get on your phone, and I'll talk more about that later. But maybe you want to make notes as you're learning in your new Bible. They have these things now called journaling Bibles with wide margins, and lots of people like to underline and highlight, even draw pictures to help them remember to get things fixed in their brains. There are Bibles where the print is all in one column as opposed to the traditional two columns of the modern era. One of the first Bibles that I read as an adult was printed like a regular book. I thought that might make it easier for me. And in fact it did, because it was more what I was used to. And then there are study Bibles. I highly recommend that for a newer Bible reader, because it has things like cross-references, things where the same topic is talked about elsewhere in the Bible. There are notes about the particular verses. What is the context? What does this word mean? Just different things that give you more clarity, more background about the individual verses, about the stories, about the people that are talked about in the stories. There are articles about context and setting and how Bible verses are translated and different perspectives that really can help you understand better. They generally have indexes of all different kinds of things where you can look up a subject, and this is where they talk about it in the Bible, and all different kinds of things and other resources. In other words, there are lots of resources in a study Bible. And like I said, there's the print size. This particular Bible has bigger print. So if that's something that's important to you, then that's available. Now, that Bible's going to be bigger because Bibles have lots of pages. A smaller Bible, if you want something that's not as heavy, it's going to have smaller print. So if that's hard for you, maybe it's time to wear your reading glasses. But like I said, generally they're printed very crisply, so that makes it easier. But this Bible also is like a journaling Bible, and so it has the wider margins, but it already has some pictures drawn in for that you can colorize if you wish, that kind of thing. And now we have the Bible that I use most frequently, and so I got a Bible cover for it to kind of protect it. You can see where the original cover is well worn. Here we have a timeline that just gives you a kind of ballpark figure. You don't have to be a literalist to use that, but then there's all the beginning pages of information. Here we have the introduction that explains things about how it was translated and their whole philosophy about how they made the Bible. That can be interesting, but also there are, in this study Bible and most study Bibles, there's an introduction to the book, the particular books. It has an outline to show you how it goes along. That can be helpful for understanding. Someone else did the underlining in this book. Personally, I have a hard time with using more than pencil that I can erase, though I have experimented with it. And I know people who have highlighted and written and underlined in their Bibles, and it made it very personal and help them develop their relationship with God, really. I have no problem with it myself. It's just not for me. But then you notice I also have Bible tabs for the books. They have been so helpful for finding things in the Bible to me. Not getting frustrated trying to find a book as I'm having to flip back and forth with those cross references, but also in helping me to learn where particular books are. So now I can go to a Bible that does not have an index and find the book really quickly because I've had indexes on my Bibles for so long. It's not cheating, it's a learning tool. And soon I'm going to be doing a video about adding them to your Bible. Unless you are already an expert in the location of every book of the Bible, I highly recommend them. Oh, the maps. The truth is, I am never satisfied with the number of maps that come in most Bibles. Some don't have any. Number one, I just plain love maps. And it helps me to really picture what's going on, to be able to journey with the people that we meet in the Bible. This particular extra map book has overlays with the modern names and borders of countries. Again, it just helps you to understand where everything is going on. The next time you watch the news and there's something about the Middle East, you can say, hey, that's where Abraham was from. This is where the Israelites wandered. This is where Jesus walked. You'll see why that territory is so important to so many people from different parts of the world and for 3 different major religions. It is not just about oil. This region has been highly prized for millennia before oil had even been discovered. Of course, there is the internet that is available, and I find it so useful. I look things up all the time. And my favorite website is BibleGateway.com. I'll link to it in the description. So many different translations are available here. And you can do searches and lots of different tools. But you have to be careful. There are the less trustworthy translations here alongside the good ones. And there's also a great Bible app called YouVersion. You can access their website at Bible.com. It is a high quality site, but it is also free. Those two things don't always go together. It not only has many translations in many languages, you can download audio recorded of many of these versions. And that's great because the Bible was originally created to be heard. YouVersion also has reading plans with many different topics and themes and just different organizational patterns. I use all of these resources at different times, but I still like having the book in my hand. Are you just starting out? If we just want to find out which translation to go for, the New Revised Standard Version, NRSV, the NIV, which is the New International Version, which is what I use as my primary Bible, the CEB, the Common English Bible, which is a great translation, or the New King James Version, the NKJV. After that, whatever style appeals to you, big print, small print, whatever you need. Do you want to be able to write notes in it, or do you just want to read it? Because that is what the most important thing is, reading it. I hope this has been helpful. That's all for this time. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again soon.